Hi everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. My neighbor brought his farm truck over. It's a 99 Dodge Ram 2500, Cummins diesel. They don't make them any more reliable than this. 24 valve. It's only got 163,000 miles, some rust. Customer complaint is, you notice his headlights don't work. So he uses the truck mostly in the daytime for farm duty, but sometimes, sun setting a little earlier, he needs headlights. Well, he said that he took it out during the rain once and his headlights came back. And then they went off again and he fired a little parts cannon, replaced the headlight switch. Here it is. This is the original headlight switch. This is the new CarQuest aftermarket. Okay, that didn't fix it. He said he got a new dimmer switch. He didn't install it yet. He brought it over for a diagnosis. So let's see what works and what doesn't work. So when I turn the parking lights on, you can see the right turn signal indicator in the instrument cluster comes on. Okay, if we try the turn signals, left one works fine, right one flashes fast, and I noticed the right front is flashing very dimly. So that's screaming ground problem. He said he checked all the grounds he could find, like the ones on the fenders there, cleaned them all up, didn't help. Okay, so that's one customer complaint or one problem with the truck. The high beams, you can see on the wall, the high beam flash does work, but when you turn the headlights on, just the high beam flash works. The high and the low beam don't stay on, and obviously our little marker still on the turn signals. Okay, do the fog lights work? Well, if I pull the switch here, the fog lights do come on. So we have no headlights. Right front turn signal is wonky, and well, those are the problems. The brake lights work fine. So just by those symptoms, can we take a look at wiring diagrams and pinpoint this problem? You would think this is pretty easy. It's a 99 Chrysler product. How hard can it be? Well, let me show you. There are some variables with this truck. So the wiring diagrams on this truck are a complete disaster. So I'm comparing the redrawn diagrams to the OE diagrams. So this is exterior lights. There's our turn signal switch. And we're interested in right front, right parking turn signal lamp. There's supposed to be 3 wires, ground on left fender side shield, G100. So I suspect it looks like we're missing a ground right here on G100, but the left one works fine. So kind of suspicious. Next, let's go to the headlights. Now the headlights here on this redrawn diagram, there's the headlamp. It's power, it's fed hot at all times from a fuse, and then the high and low beam are ground side switched, almost like a Jaguar. Pretty weird. Headlamp dimmer switch is right here, so flash high and low, and here's our headlamp switch. So you can see in park and head, right here it grounds it to G206, right center of dash. The dimmer switch diagram here doesn't actually make much sense to me. I think it's wrong because, let's say you're in low beam. So this wire would be grounded through the headlight switch. But then it crosses over to the high. So when you're in low, this one's grounded. When you're in high, this one would be grounded, and then when you're in flash, I guess just the high beams would be grounded without the headlamp switch. So that might be, let's see, is that correct? So when you're in high beam and you have this ground here, wouldn't the low and the high legs be pulled down to ground without the headlamp switch? So I think that's why this is wrong. You know, what I believe should be drawn here is, oh, I think the flash is supposed to be separate, and then this is kind of confusing. I think this wire right here should be attached to the high pin on this side of the switch. So when you're in high, it grounds the high beam, right? And it's not supposed to be tied to the low. This is just wrong. Anyways, if you look at the OE diagrams, I don't know what to say here. These are the headlamps, and it shows here they are power side, you know, switched power, and then they're just tied to ground permanently on the black wire. Completely different than what we have here. Here we have power, constant power coming in, and they're ground side switched. So we're just gonna have to go to the truck, look at the wiring colors, see which diagram is accurate, and go from there. I want to start with the right turn signal switch, just in case if that's a bad ground and we fix that and the headlights come back on, that'll be a win. I think that's an easier place to start. Alright, got the right turn signal lamp out, and we have some aftermarket add-ons here that go between these two wires. So the black should be a ground, and there's a black and yellow and a green and tan. So we can do the checks right here. Just make sure that this ground is good and see what's going on with this aftermarket junk. Okay, so with the bulb out, I have a test light coming from battery positive. If it finds a ground, it should light up bright. That black wire should be a ground. So there are 4 pins. We don't know which one's which, but one of these should be a good ground, and once my test light lights up, we'll see the current on the ammeter. So very cool test with a test light and an ammeter. You can trace wires and see which pin is which. So see, that's kind of a dim light, no change on the ammeter. Second pin, a brighter light, no change on the ammeter. Third pin, no light. Fourth pin, no light. So indeed, none of those pins are that black wire, and it can't carry a current. Actually, you can see the sharp metal edge on the frame there. Well, there's our bad ground. So let me fix this, make sure the turn signal works and there's no more backfeed on the instrument cluster, and then I think the headlights will be a separate issue. Okay, so let's solder the ground wire back together, got it all cleaned up. And the aftermarket wires go to these little marker lights on the, whatever, grill. So this should take care of the turn signal and backfeed problem. Then we'll figure out the headlights. He said the truck can't pass safety inspection with headlights not working, obviously. Well, I assume his turn signals have to work too, so we'll fix that while we're doing the lighting. Okay. Tuck test. That should be good. Shrink wrap. Seal that up. And we'll leave the aftermarket stuff alone, even though they're jumping from the turn to the parking light. So I guess they flash and whatever, as long as it doesn't mess with the stock lighting. Alright, so let's just test out the bulb. We got parking lights, yes, and turn signals, yay. Park and turn signals, those work. No, I guess this little aftermarket light doesn't come on, but we don't care about that. Actually, it does work. It was just hidden by the, let's see, that's parking lights off, turn signals, parking lights on, turn signals. Alright, well I guess it works just fine. Alright, headlights time. So I pulled off the aftermarket headlight switch. We're going to reinstall the original. I'm sure there's nothing wrong with it. Let's check the wiring at this bulk connector. So what do we have in order for these headlights to turn on? So through the headlamp dimmer switch in high or low, on this light green wire you're going to have a voltage. And these headlights are fed power at all times. So we would have power coming in on the light green waiting to be grounded, and then we want to check that the grounds are good. So pin 5 on connector C1, it's a black and orange wire. So my test light, let's connect that to battery power, and it's always a good idea to have a known good power and ground for circuit testing. So we have a good power and ground at this adapter. Now pin 5, black and orange, is going to be this one right here. And sure enough, the test light lights up nice and bright. So that ground is good on pin 5. What about the light green? We should have power coming in from the headlights, so that should easily light up my little test light here. So we'll connect it to battery ground. Finds the power, it should light up. So that's pin 6, light green, right next door to the ground. So I'm touching it. We have nothing. Now I'm going to try playing around with the dimmer switch and see if the test light turns on at all. Nope. So that's a problem. Somewhere in here there's a broken circuit. So violet, white, and red and orange are coming in from the headlight bulbs. Those should both be hot at all times to the headlight dimmer switch. And then on pin 19 we should have, again, power coming out waiting to be grounded by the main headlight switch. So we need to get to this headlamp dimmer switch. I'll take off the whatever's easier here, maybe this, and see if we can find anything interesting in there. Well, I took the whole steering column shrouds off. Here's our lime green wire. Wah, wah, wah. There's your problem, dude. Nothing to do with the rain. Oh man, there's another wire kind of pulling out. So there's our purple and white, and there's our light and green. So let's get this connector out and see if we can fix this. Alright, so the fix here is actually very simple. I got the pin out of the connector and put the insulation back in this crimp, and we're going to solder the copper to where it used to be crimped. So it's going to provide structural rigidity and a good electrical connection. And we'll plug everything back in. I think the headlights should come right on. Alright, here we go. Soldering iron's heated up. So you want to heat up the connector and the wire very well and make sure the solder sticks to both. Let's get this right here. The other side. Northridge, fix it. Alex would yell at me for not using flux. I know. Alright, let me crimp that a little bit, resolder it, and we'll be done. Alright, so that looks a little better. Give it a little tug test. Perfect. Let's put it back in the connector, plug everything in, try it out. Alright, here we go. Low beams. Ta-da! Very awesome. High beams. Yep, our indicator does work. And we got high beams on the wall, we can see from here. High beams, low beams. That's it, this truck is fixed. So, wiring diagrams. This time the redrawn were spot on. The OEM diagrams, I don't know where those came from. They didn't make any sense at all. So, ground side switched, just like on a Jaguar. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.